Good afternoon, everyone. Please, can you indicate if you can hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
All right. Good afternoon once again. You're all welcome to this quarterly front-end dev meetup titled Understanding JavaScript Libraries. I am so excited to have all of you here. Well, this event is going to be an interesting one because we're going to explore to the fullest JavaScript and its libraries and framework. I'd like to give you a short backstory on JavaScript. We may all know that JavaScript is a scripting language that is used by developers to create give me a minute, to create dynamic content. So this involves functions that may need to be implemented multiple times. And we know how frustrating it is to keep writing and writing the same code. There comes the genius idea of JavaScript library and frameworks. So this event is to take us through the concept of these frameworks and libraries. For this event, we have two speakers, Mr. David Iboke and Aziz Ismaila. Our first speaker for this event is Mr. David Iboke. He's a full stack developer at WeWork Tech Limited. He works proficiently with HTML, JavaScript, Jquery, MySQL, SQL, and that's just a few to mention. So Mr. David Iboke, we're so happy to have you. And thank you so much for making out time for us. So you have our attention.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. Sorry, I ran a little late. I had to sneak out of a doctor's appointment to catch up with this. I'm still in the hospital, so I found one corner to connect.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
It's an honor to be here. And like is it Miss or Mrs. Roberts?
Miss Roberts.
Miss Roberts, okay. So like she has tried to introduce JavaScript. So I guess I don't have to talk much on JavaScript, but I'm a JavaScript enthusiast. So I know that the audience would contain or include maybe people who are not too sure if JavaScript is the right programming language to learn, because there are so many programming languages. But why is JavaScript the best, if you allow me to put it that way? Well, JavaScript, as far as I'm concerned, is the most popular programming language in the world. It's the most popular. Many findings may not report JavaScript to be number one, but JavaScript would always, in almost all reports, would always come out among the first three. So we're right to conclude that if it's not the most popular, it's among the most popular programming languages. And top companies in the world use JavaScript. Perhaps one reason why JavaScript is one of the most popular is because it is used in web development. And as far as web, so that makes JavaScript popular. And another reason is because JavaScript is a complete programming language. When I say complete, what I mean is JavaScript is one of the few languages that has the front end aspect of it, that has the back end aspect of it, and has a functional and robust database. So for the front end, we're going to talk about JavaScript libraries. And the back end, of course, you may have heard of Node.js. And for the database, you may have heard of MongoDB. So for a single programming language to have all these facets, it makes it a very complete programming language. And let's not talk about the speed. of JavaScript? Is it the ease of understanding or the popularity, like I said? So a few companies, I'll mention a few companies who use JavaScript. We have Microsoft. That's one of the biggest tech companies in the world, uses JavaScript. We have PayPal, we have Netflix, we have Uber, we have Facebook, we have Amazon, we have eBay, we have YouTube, just to mention a few of them. So if you still have doubts if JavaScript is the place or the go-to programming language, I hope I have cleared your doubts. If not for anything, it's a very good place to start from. So what are JavaScript libraries? Please, how much time do I have?
You have about 20 to 25 minutes, sir.
Okay, that's excluding questions, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I'm still trying to catch up with the doctor's appointment. So permit me if I don't get to that, but I'll try and wrap up in a bit.
Okay, no problem at all.
Yeah. So like we know what a regular library is, a collection of books for specific interests. So if you go to the library, for instance, you have books. If you're in sciences, you have books that discuss sciences. If you're in arts, you have books that discuss arts. If you're in engineering, you have books that discuss engineering. So for specific interests, you read a book that, or books that are tailored to your interests. It's the same thing with JavaScript library. JavaScript libraries are used to solve specific problems or add a specific feature to your program. Specific problem. So if you're writing a JavaScript code, for instance, and you want to include a slider, I'm sure we know what sliders are. Those pictures, when you open a web page, those pictures that keeps moving. You could decide to write the code that would make your pictures keep moving from scratch. But there are libraries to do that. For instance, if you're conversant with Jquery, you could use Jquery to accomplish that. This is a library of already written codes for you, which you can just plug in and use. There's been this argument about the difference between libraries and frameworks. I'm not going to dwell so much on that for now, but libraries, let's know they are used to solve specific problems or add specific features to your program. But framework more robust and provides you with something which is, what are the different, some has up to 83. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but I think there's a little network break in between.
Okay, well, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so we have over 80 JavaScript libraries. I don't know, I'm not sure I know up to 10 of them. So maybe it's impossible to know all JavaScript libraries, but you just pick which one solves a particular problem or which one captures a specific feature that's of interest to you. But some of the most common JavaScript libraries are, the oldest of them, I think, is Jquery. If you've been studying JavaScript for like 3 months now, you should have come in contact with Jquery. Basically used to handle events, to do some animations. It's not that JavaScript cannot do that. JavaScript's proper, pure JavaScript. But what Jquery does is Jquery cuts out time you would use in coding all those things afresh. You just plug in and Jquery gives it to you. It saves time. JavaScript libraries save time. So if you're used to JavaScript, for instance, there's a line of code popular in JavaScript that is document.getElement.id. So imagine that you have to do document.getElement.id or .class 1,000 times. That could be frustrating somehow. But if you're using jQuery, just the $sign fixes this. Just the $sign. So it cuts out coding time and makes it easier for you to accomplish specific events using JavaScript. Well, we have others. We have React. Like I said before now, there's an argument on whether or not the difference between frameworks and libraries. So some persons will tell you that React is not a JavaScript library because React does more than just sort out a particular problem or accomplish a particular task. Because React is very robust, React may not be a JavaScript library, but a framework. But just permit me, please, to try to put this together. Rather than saying understanding JavaScript libraries alone, let's just say understanding JavaScript libraries and frameworks so that we can use this interchangeably. So what are advantages of libraries? Like we said before, we said they're faster and they produce faster websites. Now they are creative. What jQuery would do to you in a very short, would do for you in a very short time, like changing button configurations, handling click events, handling simple animations. JavaScript, pure JavaScript will take a long time to achieve that. So for creativity and ease of creativity, JavaScript libraries are in place. And then we have a large number of developer supports for these JavaScript libraries. You have support for React, you have support for jQuery, you have support for Angular, So when you get stuck somewhere, just go to the large community of developers there and you get support. And like we said earlier, there is ease of use of JavaScript libraries. Well, libraries and frameworks, let's put it that way. I'm not sure how many libraries I have used. I've not used so many of them, but I know I have used jQuery. I know I have used React. I know I have attempted to use Angular. Okay, that's a framework proper. So like I said, there are over 80 JavaScript libraries and frameworks. You cannot cover all of them. So you pick which interests you or which would solve a particular problem, and then you go with it. So how do we get these libraries of frameworks? Well, like I said, there's a large community of JavaScript support system. So you could get help from there. You could also use the official website of these libraries. For instance, if you go to React, you see how to get the React library. If you go to the official handle of jQuery, you see how to get that. Or what we call package manager. I don't know if we're conversant with that. One of them is the NPM, popularly used NPM. So with that, you could, download these libraries or these frameworks and their dependencies and use them. JavaScript libraries and frameworks are very, very robust. The simplest of them, like I said before, which is jQuery, you could use it to do asynchronous calls. You could use them to even connect to APIs. That's how robust they are, and that's even the simplest of them. So we're not even talking about React. For e-commerce systems like Amazon, for instance, built using React. Imagine what Amazon can accomplish. That's if a full e-commerce system. With Amazon, you could pick an item, you could select a particular color, you could move it to cart, you could keep adding products to carts, and then you could check out, you could initiate payments, you're issued a receipt. What does all that? It's React, a JavaScript library. So the truth is, can you hear me?
You're back on, sir.
Oh, sorry for the network glitch. So, but the thing is, while we JavaScript proper, no, libraries are like an addition. As a matter of fact, you cannot. Can you hear me, Robert?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So I was saying that libraries do not, like we said, doesn't replace pure JavaScript. As a matter of fact, you won't be an expert in the JavaScript library or framework if you are not good with, let's put it that way, with JavaScript, because it's the same JavaScript. So as a matter of fact, you cannot even learn a framework without knowing JavaScript proper. So it's like having someone who studied arts, an art course or a commercial course in secondary school, and you take the person to the university and ask him to study medicine. I mean, we're not going to say what kind of doctor that person would turn out to be, because the person would not even turn out to be a doctor. Why? Because the foundation is missing. So before you think of which JavaScript library to use or which framework to pursue, you must be conversant with pure JavaScript. There's no running away from that, because it's the same JavaScript you're going to meet in the frameworks or libraries, but maybe they may take different forms, but it's the same concept. So you must be very good with JavaScript to succeed in learning other JavaScript libraries or frameworks. But the truth is, when you're good with this, you can learn a framework in a very short time. You can learn how to use the library in a very short time. So if you are a JavaScript guru, for instance, you could learn React in a few days. I'll give you an example. My elder brother is a developer for the CBN, and he's a JavaScript enthusiast, a JavaScript developer. And most times they build solutions using different, doesn't know all of them, but when it's time to build a solution and the CBN says, okay, we're going to use Angular, he goes home and a night or two, he picks up a few things from Angular and he starts building. Tomorrow they say, okay, we want to build something for the export processing zone for 3 nights. Tops. He picks up, okay, what do I use to learn? So he has, right now, he has applications he's built using React. He has applications he's built using Angular. He has applications he's built using Next.js. Why is it possible? Because he's well grounded in JavaScript proper. So while we make so much noise about JavaScript libraries and our foundation, which is the pure
I guess we lost him there due to network. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, Robert, we can hear you.
Please, if you can hear me, indicate.
We can hear you clearly. We can hear you.
Okay. So I guess we lost the speaker due to network. Let's give a few minutes and see if we can have him back. It's been a rainy day today. I'm sure that's the reason for all this network imbalance. But let's just be patient. I'm sure we'll have him back soon. And just a brief reminder, if you have questions from all you've heard in the course of his presentation, please note it down or leave it in the chat section to be addressed at the end of the event. Although there will be a session for you to verbally ask your questions. But do note it down so that you don't miss it, you don't forget. Let me try to reach the speaker. All right, so I'm yet to see your questions coming in. Please do note down your questions in the back, the chat section. I'll help read them out. You can do that now while we wait for the speaker to return. And again, there's this issue with the link. If you use the direct link, you'll notice that once you get into the meeting, you'll be named Tolulope Bamisile. Please do click on it. That's will enable you to change to your name. Excuse me. If you click on the name, you'll be taken to an interface where you can change it to your own personal name. All right, so we do have our speaker back. You're welcome back, sir.
All right. I'm so sorry for the network glitch. I don't know where I stopped.
Okay. I'm trying to bring my head back to remember
it's
exactly
all right.
where.
It's okay. I was saying that in as much as we're glorifying JavaScript libraries and frameworks, we shouldn't forget that the basis is pure JavaScript. You cannot jump pure JavaScript and start learning JavaScript libraries and frameworks. And I used an example. I said it's like someone who studied arts or commercial in secondary school, and you pick the person up to the university and ask him to go study medicine. So the question wouldn't be if he's going to make a good doctor or not. The question is that he can't make a doctor. He can't be a doctor because the foundation is missing. So while we love to hear, oh, this is what React can do, we love to hear this is what Jquery can accomplish. We want to see what Angular can accomplish. Well, you cannot accomplish that without JavaScript. So I gave an example of my brother who works for CBN as a senior developer. He's good with JavaScript. Okay, but at the time when I started learning React, he wasn't using any of the JavaScript libraries. But because he's so good at what he does, pure JavaScript. Now they have projects where CBN does this or CBN integrates this, and they say, okay, we're going to use Angular. So because he's a lead developer, he's called upon and okay, we need to accomplish this with Angular. He goes home and in 3 days, he gets a grip of Angular. He does the project and he moves on. The project comes out well. The next month, okay, we are supposed to accomplish this using React. He goes home in 3 days. He studies, looks at the syntax and how certain things are, are connected, and he gets the hang of it. He takes the lead, and in the end, it comes out well. So my point is, we love these libraries because they make work easier, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the hang of pure JavaScript. That's our foundation. That's like your physics, chemistry, and biology that requires you to study medicine or to excel in the medical field. So JavaScript, very important, and JavaScript libraries, you would enjoy using them. I don't know if I can take some questions before I meet up with my doctor. I can't hear you.
Oh, so sorry. I just realized I got muted. So before we go over to the question, we want to thank you very much. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for making out time, your busy schedule. You have fed us so much. I am so inspired, and I'm sure that the audience shared the same sentiment. We're really grateful. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
So we do have a question for you.
I'll always take time. I'm not at my best today because I'm not feeling too well.
Okay. All right. Noted. Really noted. Okay, so the first question I have here on the chat is,
subsequently, you can always
difference between Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me now? I went off a bit. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I'm asking the first question we have. What's the difference between frameworks and libraries?
Okay, like I stated at first, there's still this, how do I put it, this argument as to the difference between frameworks and libraries. But let me just try and put it as simple as possible. Libraries are pre-written JavaScript codes that would allow you for easy development or would allow you to accomplish a particular task. For instance, like I said before, if you want to include a slider in your page, for instance, rather than start writing the code that would make the slider work, it could be bulky. You could just use a JavaScript library. Like Jquery has something like that called slider or skipper in Jquery. Jquery helps you accomplish that. But frameworks are more robust. You don't use frameworks to accomplish just a particular task. Frameworks are very robust. They are generic and the codes are reusable. So let me just say that a library is the junior brother of a framework. So I was
All right, sir. We appreciate that.
Did you get me?
Yes, you were eligible. Thank you.
Okay.
Henry, that question was from Henry. I have to scroll up to get it, but I'm sure Henry knows I'm talking to him. Henry, I hope you got a satisfactory answer for your question. So thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Henry. Okay, so we'll take two more. Let me ask the next one. Someone asks, what are the main features of JavaScript libraries?
Okay,
Main
but
features.
you mean, is it the advantages, the uses? What do you mean by features?
I think the advantages.
Okay. Okay, it's okay. So like I said earlier, they help us build websites faster, because rather than going back to write codes from the scratch, you have code snippets that have already been prepared for you. So you just plug in and use, and then it enhances creativity. It enhances creativity. Someone who tries to accomplish an event, like a click event, for instance, in pure JavaScript, will take longer time than someone who just uses jQuery to accomplish that. And someone like, I made the example of a slider. That's the most common example I know too. So it makes for creativity, you know. And then you have developer support. You have a large number of people. You have a large community of people who use different JavaScript libraries and frameworks. So it's easy to get help. And then there's the ease of use too. I mean, you don't need to do so much coding, so it's easy to use and also those are advantages of libraries. And just permit me to add, just like I said, that without the background of JavaScript, pure JavaScript, you cannot use these libraries very well. Exactly. At the same time, you cannot depend on only JavaScript. You must learn, for you to be a complete JavaScript developer, you must know at least one or two frameworks. You can't just be a pure JavaScript developer and make something good out of it. You must know at least a framework or a library. So when you look at people's portfolio, you don't see I'm a JavaScript developer. You see I'm a React, or you see I'm an Angular. You know he's a JavaScript developer, but this is where he specializes. This is the library he uses. This is the framework he uses and all. So there are advantages to using. You must know at least the framework or a library.
Wow, that was so clear. Thank you very much, sir. I've never seen JavaScript frameworks in a better light. All right, so lastly, sir, would you say that JavaScript libraries are high maintenance? They require high maintenance.
You didn't write the code, so you don't maintain the code. If there are updates to JavaScript libraries, you don't do the updates. The updates are done by, like React. If there's a new dependency for React now, it's not you. Your job is just to keep abreast, because these things change as quick as possible. I wrote a code in React 6 months ago. I went back there, to see how the code runs, and most of the dependencies I used then had expired. We had newer dependencies now, so you have to start downloading, and integrating now and all. Yeah. So if that's the context you're asking, high maintenance, you have to be up to date. You have to be up to date.
Thank you very, very much, sir. That answers my question. So altogether, we've had a great session with you. It was full of knowledge and inspiration. I want to say thank you again on behalf of the audience. We are really, really excited to have you. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks to Bincom for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I will always be available. I'll do better next time because I said I'm not very sound in health. So I'm usually more enthusiastic than this, but it's an honor. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It didn't even seem like you, and I don't know what I'm expecting to see when you're strong. This is so exciting. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, sir. Okay. So I want to thank you, my audience, for still sticking with us to this point. At this point, I'd like to briefly share a video with you before we take the next speaker. To confirm, am I still audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello?
I said yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay, Tolutope. I guess that is you.
Yes.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is the video I'm to play. I want to believe. Okay, so before I continue the video, can you all see my screen and can you hear the audio from the video?
We can see your screen, but we can't hear the audio.
You can't hear the audio?
Yes, because you have paused it.
Okay, no, when I played it, were you able to hear the audio?
No, we didn't. Put it to
I should put it to
full screen.
screen. Would that help? Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm playing it now. Did you hear the audio just now?
No, it is not coming out.
It's not.
It's not. How do I resolve that? Please just give me a minute. Let me try to resolve that. Oh. Still wondering what I need to do. Lulu, do you have an idea what I may have to do to make it work?
Oh, I don't, but maybe you should just try opening the link on YouTube itself.
Opening the link. Okay.
Go back to your Slack, then open it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Click the link that I sent, not the video it popped up.
All right.
That link, this is the link on top of it.
Is it audible now?
No, it is not. It's
okay,
not.
that means the problem is not with the link. So I'm still trying to figure out what the problem is.
Click on this speaker that is here. Click on this speaker. All these things.
Speaker. This is the speaker. It's
Click on
on.
it.
If I click on it, I'll be canceling. I don't know if you can see that happening.
No, that one is
which
muted.
makes it inaudible. So okay. I want to suggest while I resolve the issue with this video, let's have the next speaker. Is that fine? Am I still audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm suggesting that we have the next speaker now while I resolve the issue with the video.
Yeah, maybe one thing you should do is maybe you should send it to your Zoom, send it to the Zoom message, then open it from the Zoom message.
I don't fully understand what that means. Hello, Tolu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You said something.
Yeah, I said copy the link and paste it on the message box in Zoom. So open it from there in Zoom. And Ismaila can start talking now.
Okay. All right. Okay, so while I do that, let me introduce the next speaker. Please, I want to get a feedback from the audience. Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. We can.
Are you all here?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I want to apologize for the difficulties we are having. So we're having our next speaker now. His name is Aziz Ismaila. He is a mobile app front-end web developer with us here in Bincom. Started his journey last year, and he's been doing pretty well for himself with so many amazing projects. He works very well with CSS, HTML, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and that's just a few. So Mr. Aziz, you are welcome to the program, and thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having me. If you would permit me, I'd like to share my screen.
Okay.
So I can
Want to stop sharing. Yeah.
show the slide I worked on. Okay, can you see my screen now? Hello?
No, we can't see your screen yet, Mr. Aziz.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So I'll be talking on understanding JavaScript libraries. Basically, we'll talk about what JavaScript is, what is used for, how it works, how we add it to our web page, what are JavaScript libraries, and some examples. JavaScript is a dynamic programming language. It is an very important part of web development, along with HTML and CSS. Basically, the foundation for anything related to front-end is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. When I use any CSS framework or JavaScript framework, you have to know these three basic things, which are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Many browsers use JavaScript as a scripting language for dynamic things on the web. Things like the drop-down menu on our web page we visit, carousel on the web page, that is just moving images, and anything interactive on the web page is made possible by JavaScript itself. In essence, without JavaScript, a web page would be static and would only have the dynamic changes that some CSS provides, because CSS is able to do animations also. Uses of JavaScript. It adds interactivity to websites, can be used to develop mobile applications, or creating web browser-based games, majorly for front-end web development, and can be used in back-end web development, made possible by some JavaScript framework like Node.js. Yes, Node.js. How JavaScript makes things dynamic. Just as HTML is like the skeletal structure of a website and CSS beautifies it, What JavaScript does is to make it interactive, support math calculation, addition or deletion of HTML contents in a web document, majorly with the use of DOM manipulation. Also to create dynamic style declaration. You can use JavaScript to change the styling of CSS, fetches content from other websites, and lots more. In order to make all these things work, JavaScript has to be added to our projects. Either it's inline, internal, or external. In inline, all you have to do is to insert JavaScript code into an element. And for internal, it has to be included in the script tag in an HTML page. And for external, you create a script .js file. It can be any, you can name it anything, long as the file extension is .js. Then you link it to your project. Okay, JavaScript libraries. The reoccurrence of the use of same code to achieve the same task led to development of certain JavaScript libraries and frameworks. JavaScript libraries are basically a collection of pre-written codes snippets, that is code that someone else has written, that can be used to perform a specific JavaScript function. Let's say you want to add a drop-down menu or a carousel or a submit feature and all that. You don't have to waste time and effort in writing it. You can just utilize a pre-written code that is a JavaScript library to implement the function. And the use of JavaScript library led to faster development and fewer vulnerabilities to have errors. Some of the uses of JavaScript libraries are in DOM manipulation, framework setup, Ajax handling, etc. And actually, we have about 83 JavaScript libraries as of today. I don't know what might happen by tomorrow. Okay. One of some of the few popular ones are Jquery, D3, React Library, Rodash. Jquery is the first JavaScript library. And some of the features are HTML DOM, traversal, and manipulation, event handling, animation, and other functionality. D3.js, it's also a JavaScript library. It's used to create and display animated 3D computer graphics on a web browser. Can be used alongside the HTML canvas elements, SVG or WebGL. Why React library? This React library allows you to build interactive user interface using components. And there's Lodash library. It provides many utility functions for common programming tasks when working with arrays, numbers, objects, strings, and others. Okay, jQuery, like I said before, is the first JavaScript library. It was majorly developed to undo DOM manipulation in JavaScript. Instead of having to write documents.get elements by this, maybe ID, class name, tag, and all that. All you use is just the $sign, then you insert whatever tag, class name, stuff you need to targets for DOM manipulation. It is utilized in event handling also, CSS animations, Ajax. The jQuery library shortened the syntax and simplified the code, making it easy to understand and increase web developer productivity. Time wasted in having to targets having to write code to do DOM manipulation, event handling, to be utilized in doing way better things. Hence, it's more productivity. And I'll talk about React. It is a free and open-end front-end JavaScript library. So it is based on UI components. It was created in 2011 by Facebook. It is open source. Everybody has access to it, and it has a very huge community developer support. It is extremely smart in that it does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of efficiently updating and rendering the right component when there is a change in data or the state of JavaScript application. React.js, some call it libraries, some call it frameworks. It can be called both. Okay, this is an illustration to show working with a JavaScript library and working with just basic vanilla JavaScript, that is just the basic JavaScript. If you work with a JavaScript library, your work becomes faster. Without it, it is slow. Okay, this is just a short comparison between JavaScript libraries and JavaScript frameworks. Basically, they are both pre-written code written by someone else that helps us perform some common tasks in a less verbose way. We don't have to write much. That is, writing less but doing more. That's the purpose of both of them. A framework inverts the control of the program. It tells the developer what it needs, but a library doesn't. A developer can use a library as it deems fits, but a framework, we ask you to, it will tell you what it needs. Okay, I need this here, I need that here. So a JavaScript library is more flexible than a JavaScript framework. When you import a library, you have to call the specific methods or functions of your choice. So it is up to you where I want to call the library. But for a framework, it makes a call itself and provide you with space of what you have to add to it. Still reiterating what I just said earlier. So framework is often more restrictive and generally have a more set of rules. But library is much more flexible and not bounded by many rules. Examples of JavaScript frameworks are Angular, Vue, Django, etc. React too is a framework, a JavaScript framework. Okay, so JavaScript libraries make programming more fast and easily read or written, and its advantages are numerous. Some of such are faster websites, huge developer community support, backable documentation. That is, if you are looking to do something, there's already a written procedure steps for you to learn and do it. It has ease of use and its usability. This is where I stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aziz. This has been a very benefiting session filled with knowledge, and we are grateful. Thank you once again, Mr. Aziz.
You're welcome.
It is now time to take the rest of the questions that were thrown in earlier and some of the questions that you might still have. Please do well to type your questions in the chat session. Just to confirm, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Please kindly indicate if you can hear me.
We can hear you clearly.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, for that. So, like I said earlier, it's time for us to take the questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat while I read out some that were sent earlier. So, Mr. Aziz, are you still
Yes.
with us, sir?
Yes.
All right, so I want to ask the first question that was sent. Okay, it says, what JS front-end framework is best for large or small applications?
Oh, okay. Like Mr. David said, there is, okay, let me just say it, let me phrase myself instead of quoting Mr. David. There's basically no perfect framework. Every JavaScript framework has its own use, its own advantage and disadvantages. But to answer the question, I think I'll say Vue.js, because it basically combines some of the features of React and Angular. So that makes it kind of better. Yeah.
Thank
Does
you
that
very
yeah?
much.
Does that answer your question?
I'm sure where the question came from has been satisfied. Okay, so I said I'm sure that that's a very satisfying question from the audience who threw it earlier.
Okay.
So thank you.
Welcome.
There's another question. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I want to ask the next question now. Is it easier to build applications with JavaScript libraries or without?
Of course, it is easier to build application with JavaScript libraries. Saves you time, saves you in an application. There are definitely many features you yourself can't implement. Else to implement such might take you years of experience, but with framework, you'll be able to do more while even knowing less or writing less.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and we have some more, and I know we've almost gone past the stipulated time. So we'll take 2 more questions, Mr. Aziz, if that's okay with you. All right,
All
so
right. Well,
do libraries involve performance of code?
do
Oh, sorry, I think I read that wrong. Do libraries improve performance of code?
in code. Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes, it does.
Yes, I'm sure that question is well satisfying to Ibu. She asked that. All right, so the last one is what's the difference between libraries and frameworks?
I think I would. Can we call on Mr. David to chip in here?
Okay, I do not believe Mr. David is still on the call. He made it clear earlier that he would be having an appointment to attend to shortly after his presentation.
Oh, okay.
So I think we can handle that later.
Okay.
So I'll just take the contact of the person who asked that question and send in the answers. So thank you very much, Mr. Aziz. We really do appreciate this session. Thank you for making up time to be present.
Welcome, ma'am.
We're grateful. So we do have a slide to share with you. I'm going to share my screen so that we can have a brief look at the slides. Please, I want to confirm. Tolutope, are you still on this call?
Yes, I am.
Hello?
I said now. Yeah, open the link. Yeah. I just read it
Okay.
out. Thank you.
Okay. So I've shared my screen. I want to believe it's visible.
Yes,
Is my screen visible, please?
It is. Yeah, start the presentation. Let us finish it.
Okay, so this slide is basically intended to present to us the services and products that Bincom has to offer. Bincom Dev Center is a multi-location technology, talent development, and solution platform. Its location varies. We have it virtually. It's in Lagos, Yaba. It's in Lagos State, Yaba, Ibadan in Oyo State, Kano in Kano State, Kaduna in Kaduna State, Ijebu-Igbo in Ogun State, Warri in Delta State, and also plans are being made to have many more physical locations. I have to adjust my screen. Sorry. Trying to adjust my screen so I can see the rest of what is written. Okay, so Bincom Academy. Bincom Academy utilizes the Montessori approach in teaching participants in basic skills needed for the modern technology ecosystem. Bincom Tech Internship. This is designed to enable people at intermediate skill levels gain mastery and expertise over a period of time. We also have Bincom Tech Apprenticeship. Industrial attachment at various skill levels to gain experience and on-the-job training. Bincom community events and projects. This is geared at giving back to the community and building the tech ecosystem, just as we've just done. It focused on informing and exposing the youth to the current technology trends and how to prepare for the future in technology. Lightspace provides helpful workspace intended to encourage collaboration and drive innovations in the startup ecosystem. We have spaces that are created and designed for various events like seminars, conferences, and gets together. Bincom Global Tech Program. The Bincom Global Tech Program The Bincom Dev Center Global Tech Program, is your solution to launch your tech career globally. It is a 1 to 2 year program focused on 3 key pillars: learning skills, gaining experience, and gaining exposure. The program fee costs about 1.2 billion naira. Income sharing agreements and other payment options are available. This implies that if you do not have that amount, there are other arrangements made to make it possible for someone to get into the Bincom Global Tech Program. There is also the Emigrates. This helps you to become globally attractive tech profile or tech-enabled businesses, and it is your tech-enabled pathways to relocate and settle in countries like UK, USA, Canada, and France. Bincom Mentoring Platform. It is a structured mentoring solution to help mentors add value to mentees for the purpose of building globally attractive techies. Labs by Bincom is a 3 to 6 months pre-incubator program that brings together participants to build a digital technology product which would be used by real life users. Okay, so let's drill down into some of the Bincom Dev Center services. Okay, so So I think the next slide is going to tell us more about the services we render. Income Academy. Income Academy is an intensive training program facilitated by Income Dev Center. Each technology or application development class is technically 4 weeks of intensive training. During this period, we shall take the participant through our training curriculum for that knowledge track in a Montessori approach. So the classes differ, and some of them that we have available are the Python Data Science for Beginners, the PHP mobile app, PHP MySQL Foundation class, graphic design, project management, IT system engineer, that's DevOps, digital marketing, basic computer literacy, design and web design, and the use of WordPress, advanced front-end development, and many more. Full list of classes are available on Income.net Academy. So you can find out more information on that. The down part of that slide that I just skipped talks about the fee for one class, which is 50,000 naira. Although discounted fees are available from time to time. That's worthy of note. Okay, so Lightspace. Lightspace provides helpful workspace, to encourage collaboration and drive innovations in the startup ecosystem. We have spaces that is created and designed for various events like seminars, conferences, and get-together. Some Lightspace services include event spaces, which takes about 30 to 40 people, meeting rooms, guest rooms for overnight stays, co-working space, dedicated office space, and desks. Locations, like I mentioned earlier, also include virtually. We have virtual space available. We have a space in Yaba, Lagos, Ibadan in Oyo State, Kano in Kano State, Kaduna Central in Kaduna State, Ijebu-Igbo in Ogun State, and Warri in Delta State. Income community events and projects. This is geared at giving back to the community and building the tech ecosystem. They focus on informing and exposing the youth to the current technology trends and how to prepare for the future in technology. Income community events is divided into 5. Masterclass, digital financial services masterclass, Income Startup School, technology enhanced learning series, and Meetup, WordPress Meetup, PHP Meetup, Data Science Meetup, Python Meetup, AWS Meetup, Angular Meetup, Laravel Meetup, and so much more. The session we just had is one of the meetups, and it's called the Front-End Dev Meetup. We also have idea sharing. Income ICT Career Talk is one opportunity or one event for idea sharing. And there is also, permit me to locate where I am, career drill downs. Okay, so moving on, we have Explore on the Move, which is Techno, Challenge and Brainstorm. That's popularly known as Hackathon. Some of other initiatives include Income Tech Network. Income Academy uses the Income Tech Network Slack for collaborations, purposes, interactions with facilitators and other participants of Income Academy class, which happens on our channel in Income Tech Network. Income Tech Network is a popular and tech resource community powered by Income. We believe this will grow into one of Africa's largest community of tech enthusiasts and experts. There's also Income Tech Club. It creates an ecosystem that enables tech enthusiasts who have little or no knowledge on tech to learn and rub minds with tech experts, leveraging on the tech community to front end the possibilities of individual growth. These I just mentioned are the various types of Beacon community events. Okay, I'm sure I've mentioned all of this meetup listed here: the PHP meetup, cloud hosting meetup, Angular meetup, digital marketing meetup, Laveral meetup, data science meetup, DevOps meetup, and the rest. Master classes, Beacon startup schools, social lender, digital financial services masterclass, technology enhanced learning, and also under idea sharing, we have Beacon ICT career talk and emigrate packaging. These are events that are coming up with Beacon. Beacon, please, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you. I just keep the slide and I have to go back. Thank you very much. So this slide talks about Beacon Global Tech Program. The Global Tech Program is a solution to launch tech career globally. You can learn skills, you can gain experience, gain exposures, and learn tech now and pay later. When we talk about learning skills, individual and customized learning paths are made available. Mentors and facilitators at every skill level. Co-working space with internet access is also available. How do you gain experience? We get to work on real-life projects as you grow. Internships and tech apprenticeship are available. You can also build your resume with clients at every level. This is what you have to enjoy when you get registered or when you get enrolled with the Beacon Global Tech Program. You gain exposure, international career packaging and placement, guided access to international tech ecosystem, work with global startups and corporates. Okay. Then I mentioned learning tech now and paying later. The Beacon Global Tech Program will cover 1 to 2 years, which will cost about 1.2 million naira, but can be paid later instrumentally through the income sharing agreement. So we can see how pocket friendly this is. So this video was supposed to be played in between the events, but we had some issues, and I want to believe that issue is over now by attempting to play this video, because I just want to have one attempt. If it doesn't work, we'll just continue with the slide and we call it a day. Okay, so please, is the video audible now?
It's not.
Still not audible. Okay, I believe this is a problem that can be fixed in the next few minutes. So I'm going to skip like I said we would. Let me skip. Oops. Trying to skip this, please. Okay, finally indeed. So emigrates. The Emigrate program provides tech-enabled visa opportunities for people in tech, either the technical side of business or the technical side or business side of tech, sorry. It gives opportunity to live and work in UK, USA, Canada, France. I'm sure that's just those 4 countries. Let me not mention things like that there. So what can Emigrate services cover? General inquiry, coaching and hand-holding, preliminary assessment of your qualification status for self-directed roadmap, to qualifying for a tech-enabled visa, roadmap to a globally attractive tech profile, example, global talent visa, review of your UK global talent application, endorsement review process. These are really, how do I put it? These are savoring opportunities that we want to grab with the Income Emigrate program. It has so much more to offer. The services, some services in this program are free, like information and inspiration, Emigrate community, monthly open day, introductory videos, Emigrate open consultation, Tech Nation Visa Ambassador Office Hour, short inquiries. That really is interesting. In order for you to indicate interest for these free services offered by the Emigrate program, you can go on bincom.net.emigrate, bincom.net.emigrate. There you can have these free consultations about how to relocate to the US, UK, Canada, and France, like I earlier mentioned. Then on premium, we have Emigrate Circle, personalized consultation sessions, standard package, review and introductions, Emigrate Premium service, custom services. I think these are paid services. To show interest or to request for a session, you can go on blog.bincom.net, Emigrate pricing. So if you want to attend any of the Emigrate events, that's a special invitation to the next Emigrate Open Day. It's typically holds 2 Wednesdays in a month. Video recordings of past editions are available on our social media platforms. Okay, so I think these dates are already passed. Wednesday, 3rd November 2021. It may still follow this format, but you can learn more about this by logging to www.bincom.net/emigrates open day. So please take advantage of this Emigrate Open because it affords you the opportunity to ask questions and get answers to how you can start your journey of relocating. Okay. Oops. I need a minute to go back to the last slide. Okay, so there's something we call Labs by Bincom, and you can access that through www.bincom.net/labs. This program is to help you build a startup from scratch with your own team, worthy of being enrolled for. The Bincom program also makes it possible for you to earn 120K while you learn tech. So the Bincom Dev Center Ambassador campaign is a partnership with my circle, bringing the ability for people to earn from their network and positive social influence. You earn 10% from Bincom Dev Center for any of its services which you refer. For example, you earn 10%. Okay, skip that while trying to move this. Okay, for example, you earn 10% from Bincom Dev Center. You earn 10% of the payments made by prospective Bincom Global Tech Program participants referred by you, which is 120,000 naira. So this sounds really, really interesting. You can learn tech and still earn. So why wait? Why not dive into it right now? So join us. How can you join us? Go to Bincom Events Center. Okay, it's not Bincom Event Center, that's a mistake. Bincom Dev Center. The write-ups are so big. Bincom Dev Center at bincom.net, or you can call the numbers on the screen 07011 070 1195 852, or you go on beacom.devcenter.com. So I think this is the last slide. Okay, yeah, so this is the last slide. You can give us feedback based on what you've heard from this event, this meetup, maybe inquiries on how to get into Beacom or take advantage of any of the services that you've just been introduced to. You can give us questions and feedbacks. All you just have to do is call the number on your screen or go on the website to communicate with us. So thank you so much for making out time to attend this event. We are grateful. It is a quarterly event. Please do make yourself available to join us next time. We'll share an invitation to you. Thank you so much for staying, and do refer us to other tech enthusiasts. So let me quickly check the message box to see if we have questions from you. If there are no questions, we can have a few minutes to interact, and then we'll call the event to a close. I want to believe I have been audible all this while. Sorry for not checking.
Yes, you are.
Okay. All right. So in the box, we do not have questions. We've exhausted all the questions we have. And please, if your questions were not addressed in the course of this event, feel free to reach us in any of the numbers or the websites would make sure that your questions are very well addressed. Thank you once again. Thank you, Mr. Aziz. Thank you to all the audience, those who made time to attend, and also thank you to Mr. Iboke, since although he's not here. So we will call it a day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.